Welcome to this week's Movie Math, where the Shire hit the fan. Yes, while the industry tried to put a nice spin on things, look at the competition, the weather. Bottom line is that the Desolation of Smaug did more than 10 million less than An Unexpected Journey in the exact same frame. And while the industry trades were quick to point out that that still makes for the fourth biggest opening of December, let's not forget that I Am Legend and Avatar were original films instead of the fifth entry in a franchise. And while this also might be the second biggest debut for Peter Jackson's Middle-earth films yet, it shouldn't be that difficult to best films released a decade ago that weren't in 3D. The Desolation of Smaug's debut wasn't even in the same ballpark as Iron Man 3, Catching Fire, or Man of Steel, but was instead closer to Oz the Great and Powerful and Star Trek Into Darkness. Which group would you rather be in? Let's see if Hollywood is willing to accept the fact that a brand can be tarnished, as audiences largely agreed that An Unexpected Journey wasn't on par with the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. After all, with the exception of Catching Fire, the other two movies in that front-of-the-pack group heavily divided audiences. Thor: The Dark World already failed to open at the century mark despite industry projections, while Captain America: The Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy further erode all the goodwill built up by the Avengers. Perhaps it's a smart move by Warner Brothers to stay quiet until their newly revealed Trinity flick hits theaters in 2015. As for Jackson's Hobbit trilogy, even though An Unexpected Journey just barely made it into the billion-dollar club, The Desolation of Smaug still has a shot at joining as well, thanks to overseas box office. Word of mouth could also further propel the sequel, as audiences seem to equally agree that it's a considerable improvement on the first Hobbit flick. Speaking of brand erosion, Tyler Perry's Madea Christmas was the lowest debut yet for his fast-talking wise guy grandma. Then again, if Perry continues to make films that seem like they should go straight to video, well, he shouldn't be surprised if that's where his brand eventually ends up. Which might not be a bad thing. As on-demand grows in popularity, there could be a significant financial reward for the B or C-level celebrity who first embraces it. Honestly, which of you would have watched a Madea Christmas this weekend if you could have done so from your living room? As for the rest of the box office, Frozen kept it in its icy grip, taking the number 2 spot and besting newcomer A Madea Christmas. Up to $220 million, it has yet to turn a profit thanks to its $150 million budget, not including advertising. It would probably need to make at least $400 million to break even, as remember, studios get about half of a film's box office gross. Yet Tangled and Wreck-It Ralph both made it past $400 million, and Disney Files and then some are so enamored with the animated musical that Frozen's profits will certainly snowball thanks to merchandise, theme park additions, and most likely a live stage musical somewhere down the road. Outside of Frozen, most picks in the top 10 dropped around 50%, with the exception of Philomena, helped by its Golden Globe nominations, and The Book Thief, which must be benefiting from good word of mouth. But overall, these widespread drops across the board signal that there is indeed room for the multitude of new films set to hit for Christmas. Out of the top 10, American Hustle and Saving Mr. Banks both opened in limited release with impressive per-theater averages, particularly for the David O. Russell flick, which dominated the Golden Globe nominations on Thursday. Interestingly though, 12 Years a Slave was the other major contender on Thursday, yet still dropped another 40% over the weekend, for a 9-week total of just $36 million. Meanwhile, Nebraska, All Is Lost, and Blue Jasmine all added additional theaters to capitalize on their Golden Globe nominations and saw box office gains. As for this coming weekend, Anchorman 2 is expected to dominate with a Wednesday debut, while Her Oslo opens midweek in limited release. On Friday, Walking with Dinosaurs is set to step lightly, while American Hustle, Saving Mr. Banks, and Inside Llewyn Davis all expand their runs. India's Doom 3 will also hit 200 theaters and could possibly make the top 10, which is becoming a regular occurrence as Bollywood encroaches on Hollywood. Finally, be sure to cast your vote for the top 10 movies of 2013. The poll closes at midnight on January 2nd, 2014. The link is in the video description. And that's the weekend box office. I'm Grace Randolph, and we just did some movie math. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope we'll go beyond the trailer for these other top movies.